Good morning YouTube and welcome back to the channel and Project E46 M3. Honestly, this car has provided so much content for the channel, good and bad. So we got another fault light. So the backstory, the car had been laid up over winter, it had been under a cover. I pulled the cover off, turned it on, and I ended up with the EML light on and the traction control light disabled. And I thought, well, is it because it's been left for months? I turned it off, turned it on, still there, put the fault reader in, and it came up with some weird codes. And then a bit of investigating, it looked like it pointed to the throttle position sensor. So just as I was about to start diagnosing further, moved the car, fault light was gone, thought I'd go out for a drive, no issues. So I thought maybe it was just where it had been stored, a little gremlin had come up, you know, it's damp out, who knows? And ended up going out for a breakfast drive a couple of weeks later, light appeared in the morning, one cycle in the ignition and it cleared. So I thought, well, I've definitely got to look into this, but we've got the BMW meet coming up in 2 weeks. Fingers crossed it doesn't throw its toys out. And it did the Stone Automotive meet fine. Got to the Ultimate BMW meet. I met Julian and a few others down at the Reading services, parked up. Julian's E46 is pretty tasty. Hopefully we'll have that on the channel soon. And yeah, we were driving there and I noticed as I pulled out the services, I went to accelerate and I got the horrible like buck sensation, like you just passed your test with no clutch control. And I was like, that's weird. Went to accelerate again, bucked again and thought, something doesn't feel right. This might be a problem. Joined the motorway, everything seemed to be fine. Joined another section of road, which is known as the A34. Went to go for an overtake past a lorry. Boom, limp mode activated, 62 mile an hour, holding everything up because I was going like a mile an hour faster than this lorry. And yeah, not great news. So in today's video, we're going to go through the TPS sensor replacement and what's involved in changing it over, which for the first sensor next to the oil filter, very easy. The one under the airbox might be a part 2 if it is that one. We'll have to do in another video. So what is a throttle position sensor? Well, on the BMW E46 M3, when you touch the throttle pedal, there isn't a cable that goes to the throttle bodies to open the butterflies. It's actually an electronic servo actuator motor in the engine bay. And when you press down on the pedal, the servo operates and it has a sensor to relay back to the ECU to say that the position is correct. If there is any issues with that, then obviously it'll put it in limp mode to avoid full throttle accidents, etc. The problem with the E46 M3 is there's 2 sensors in the engine bay for the throttle position sensors. They're exactly the same part. One is next to the oil filter housing, which is really easy to get to, which we're going to change today first. And the other one is under the airbox. And for those who have followed the channel, I've not long fitted the Carbonius airbox, done all new clips on there, and I really don't want to be taking that one off. So today's video, we're going to replace the top one and we'll keep the old one because if it turns out that it's not faulty, well, to be honest with you, I'd rather put a new one under the airbox anyway. So I would put the new one under the airbox because the one on the front, which you'll see today, is not going to take us long at all to change. But ultimately, pretty straightforward job for the top one, rubbish job for the bottom one. We're going to do the top one today, and fingers crossed that gets rid of this annoying EML light that we're getting and the limp mode. So buying the sensor, if I can get the part number for the genuine one, I'll put it all in the description. You've got a few options. So the genuine one in the UK is around 100, 120 pounds. There's a company called Hella, which do sort of not fake parts, but non-BMW approved parts, but they're built in Germany. I've used their stuff before, and that came in at £55, which we're going to install on today, which I'll also include the part number. And then finally, you have the cheap eBay knockoffs, which are like 10 to 25 pounds. Personally, I wouldn't bother with those. It's a false economy buying really cheap electronic parts, especially in a car like this, where if it does fail, it puts you in limp mode. If you're on a road trip or even just a normal drive, it's a pain in the arse. So went for the branded product, just not the genuine branded. Hopefully that doesn't bite me in the arse, as we may find out today. But yeah, we'll get that changed and go through the install. With the engine bay open, you can now see the first TPS, also known or is known as the throttle position sensor. Now this sensor, before you consider replacing it or changing it, it's also worth checking this loom because it's known for this to fray and then it can damage the wiring, which will give you similar issues in terms of fault lights and throttle response. The other thing is if you've ever had the plenum or the airbox off previously, check that if someone's reinstalled Jubilee clips that they're not catching on the throttle linkages. It's another big one that will send the car into limp mode. But so today's video, we've checked all that, the wiring's okay, nothing's foul in the linkages. We're just going to undo these 2 crosshead screws and remove the sensor. So with the two sensors side by side, you can see that the genuine one is not looking too great. It looks like actually water's got past the O-rings. It's all wet inside there, or lime scaled up. But what is interesting is if you look closely at the genuine BMW one, that focuses, you can see the BMW logo there, and is it an AB logo on the left? If you look at the non-genuine one, the Hella one, it's got that same AB there, but it's almost like the BMW logo has been completely machined out. Something I have seen before with parts from TRW and things like that is you end up just paying a lot more money for the box, because BMW will outsource the production of these items. When refitting the new sensor, just make sure that you've got the alignment right there on the half moon cutout, so that it will sit in place like so, and then you can just twist it round to bring it into position and put the screws back in. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, make sure you give the channel a like, consider subscribing. Plenty more content to come on the E46 M3, so stay tuned.